Open rate tracking, metrics every B2B team needs. Open rate tracking isn't dead, it's misused. Open rates used to be a bragging metric in outbound. In 2025, they're still valuable, but only if we treat them like a diagnostic signal, not a scoreboard. Between Apple Mail privacy protection, tighter inbox filtering, and noisier tracking, 60% opens can mean far less than it used to. The bigger mistake we see is the overcorrection. Teams stop looking at opens entirely and only watch replies. That sounds disciplined, but it removes one of your best early warning systems for deliverability, list quality, and domain health. When opens suddenly drop, you want to know before reply volume and pipeline quietly follows. At SalesHive, we use open rate tracking the same way a strong SDR agency uses call connection rates. It's a health check that keeps the machine stable. We still optimize for what matters: replies, meetings booked, and revenue. But opens help us spot problems early and separate subject line issues from targeting and deliverability issues. Benchmarks that actually make sense in 2025. If you don't anchor your reporting to realistic baselines, you'll either panic over normal performance or celebrate inflated numbers. Recent benchmarks put average open rates around 21.5% across industries, with B2B campaigns slightly lower at about 19.2%. A separate benchmark that analyzed billions of emails reported a median B2B open rate of 22.8%, which reinforces that low 20s is common, not a crisis. Cold outbound is a different motion than marketing newsletters, and it should never share one global target. Outbound-focused research commonly frames realistic B2B cold email averages closer to 15 to 25%, while highly engaged B2B SaaS lists, customers, warm subscribers, and strong segmentation can reach 35 to 45%. Comparing these two worlds is how leadership ends up pushing SDRs toward gimmicks instead of better targeting and cleaner list-building services. We also like to sanity check opens against downstream outcomes. A 2024 B2B cold email study reported an average open rate of 27.7% with a 5.1% reply rate, which is a helpful reminder that healthy outbound converts a meaningful share of attention into conversation. That's the standard, not highest opens, but opens that turn into replies and meetings. Why opens became a directional signal, not a fact. Open tracking used to be straightforward. A tracking pixel loads, you count an open. Apple Mail privacy protection changed that by preloading email content and pixels through proxy behavior, which can record opens even when a person never actually reads the message. The result is that the same campaign can improve overnight without any real increase in engagement. This distortion isn't small. One dataset reported Apple Mail privacy protection accounting for roughly 52.6% of observed opens soon after launch, meaning a big portion of opens can be privacy inflated depending on your audience mix. Another large-scale analysis showed total open rates rising from about 22.6% to 40.5% within 6 months of Apple's change, nearly doubling without marketers suddenly becoming twice as good. So no, opens aren't useless, but they must be demoted. Use them to catch deliverability shifts, domain-specific filtering, or list quality decay. Then validate everything with replies, positive replies, and meetings booked. The quickest way to get misled is to reward reps or vendors based on open rate alone, especially in sales outsourcing programs where volume can mask quality. The open metrics every B2B team should standardize. Most teams don't have an open rate problem, they have a definition problem. If one dashboard counts machine opens, another counts unique opens, and a third mixes marketing and outbound, the team stops trusting the numbers. We recommend standardizing a small set of open-related metrics and using them consistently across your outbound sales agency motion. Start with delivered to open, unique opens divided by delivered. Then add open reach across the sequence, percent of contacts who opened at least one step. From there, segment opens by ICP, persona, and list source, because who you emailed usually drives performance more than clever copy. Finally, connect opens to conversion with reply to open and meetings per 100 opens, so the team stops optimizing vanity signals. This is also where we address a common mistake, comparing SDR cold outreach to opt-in newsletter benchmarks. Cold email agency programs win by precision, tight targeting, clean data, and relevant messaging, not by matching marketing's open rates. When you benchmark by campaign type and segment by list source, coaching becomes practical and fair. Treat open rate like blood pressure. It tells you whether the system is healthy, but it's not the scoreboard. How to connect opens to replies, meetings, and revenue. An open that never produces a reply or meeting is just attention, not progress. The simplest reporting upgrade is a funnel view per campaign. Delivered, opens, replies, positive replies, meetings booked. When opens are high, but reply to open or meetings per 100 opens are low, the subject line probably isn't the problem. The offer, relevance, or CTA is. We recommend reviewing this funnel weekly with your SDR agency or sales development agency team, then doing a deeper monthly read by segment and by domain. Weekly reviews catch sudden drops, which often point to deliverability or list issues, while monthly reviews help you shift ICP focus toward the segments that turn engagement into pipeline. This is also where multi-channel matters. If email engagement is noisy, layering in LinkedIn outreach services and targeted follow-up can stabilize outcomes. To keep incentives clean, avoid comping SDRs on open rate or celebrating open lifts without downstream validation. A subject line that spikes opens but increases spam complaints or suppresses replies will quietly damage reputation and future inboxing. Tie success to replies, meetings, and pipeline created using opens as context, especially if you're running an outsourced sales team across multiple domains and list sources. What to do when open rates drop without guessing. When cold outbound opens fall below 15%, assume it's a targeting or deliverability problem until proven otherwise. Below 10%, you should treat it like an incident. Slow sending, inspect bounce rates, check domain and mailbox health, and audit list quality immediately. Teams waste weeks rewriting copy when the real issue is that messages aren't reaching the inbox in the first place. Another common mistake is lumping performance together so the root cause stays hidden. Open rate should be segmented by SDR, sending domain, and list vendor, because one dirty source or one damaged domain can drag down the entire program. If you're operating B2B sales outsourcing at scale, this segmentation is the difference between targeted fixes and random changes that create more noise. Privacy inflation makes this even more important. If your audience skews toward Apple Mail, opens can look great while meetings stay flat, so you need multiple signals: open trends, reply rates, complaint rates, and meeting conversion. That multi-metric view is what keeps a B2B sales agency from optimizing for vanity metrics and protects long-term deliverability. A/B testing that improves opens without hurting pipeline. A/B tests are where teams most often pick the wrong winner. If you declare victory based on open rate alone, you'll eventually select a subject line that drives curiosity but reduces trust, replies, or meeting conversion. The rule we use is simple. A variant only wins if it improves opens and holds, or improves, reply rate and meetings per 100 opens. Subject lines are still a high-leverage input, especially when personalization is real and relevant. Multiple studies have found personalized subject lines can improve open rates by at least 26%, but that lift only matters if the body copy and targeting support it. In practice, the highest ROI usually comes from better segmentation, cleaner data, and message market fit, not from clever punctuation tricks. For test sizing, noise from privacy features means you should avoid tiny samples. As an operational rule of thumb for outbound, aim for 300 to 500 recipients per variant and let the test run at least 48 to 72 hours across normal business days. Then validate against replies and meetings. This is the same discipline we apply when coordinating email with cold calling services or B2B cold calling services. You measure what drives conversations, not what produces a flattering top-of-funnel number. A practical tracking framework your team can run this quarter. The fastest way to level up open rate tracking is to standardize definitions and build one dashboard everyone trusts. Separate benchmarks by email type, cold, warm, customer, and report opens alongside delivered rate, bounce rate, reply rate, and meetings booked. That alignment prevents the most common leadership error, holding cold outreach to marketing newsletter standards. From there, operationalize coaching around two ratios: reply to open and meetings per 100 opens. Those metrics keep SDRs focused on relevance and conversion instead of gaming subject lines, and they make it easier to compare performance across segments with different baseline open rates. If you're considering sales outsourcing, these ratios also help you evaluate an outsourced partner on outcomes rather than surface-level engagement. Looking ahead, open tracking will likely get noisier, not cleaner, so teams that win will treat opens as directional and build resilience with better data, better segmentation, and multi-channel execution. That might include pairing email with telemarketing, a cold calling agency motion, or coordinated touches across email and LinkedIn so you're not relying on one signal. If you want a North Star, it's simple. Use open rate tracking to protect deliverability and prioritize what produces booked meetings and pipeline.